Hi guys, it's Granny Tana speaking. Welcome to this FS25 weekly news video. This was a very intense week, packed full with trailers and blog articles, and we even got a magazine. Yeah, here you can see it. I already made a video about this magazine, therefore I will only show some pictures very fast because we have quite a lot of other stuff to view. Yeah, so this is the latest Farming Simulator magazine. You can order it as a PDF file directly at Giants. I will provide a link in the description below this video. Yeah, and it's available in a lot of languages, and it contains a bunch of informations about Farming Simulator 25. So if you are not up to all the recent news and videos and such, then you could just get this and know everything what is already known about Farming Simulator 25. And you can make an informed decision, or a rather informed decision. All the nitty-gritty details will be only known when we finally have the game. But yeah, there is a lot of stuff inside. And here we have, let's see, the table of content. And this is the most important, no, maybe not important, but the newest information, the only information that is really new for everybody, and we didn't knew it before this magazine came out, that we will have dynamic pastures. A lot of us already hoped for it, and here this is confirmed now. So we can make our own pastures on a meadow and bring our animals there to feed from the grass, which is really awesome. This is an important wish for from a lot of people. Yeah, so that is about the magazine. The next one is we got one of those 25-second trailers about the ground deformation. And that is not the only thing that we got about ground deformation in this week, but this is a video. And I think you can't see really much ground deformation here, but in the blog article that we will have a look at, there we get really good information about ground deformation. And yeah, I really like those little trailers. They are not really informative, but they are a nice chunk. It's something like a nice piece of chocolate or so that you can, this is nice to have, something like that. And therefore I'm quite happy with them. And here we got an official trailer about Hutan Pantai. And this trailer is a lot about the temples of Hutan Pantai and the temples of Hutan Pantai and the city, and yeah, and very nice trees with pink blossoms, these cherry blossoms. I really like them. I love them. I should take them and bring them into my map. Yeah, and here we see the train, and finally we see some farming. You can do some farming on this map, obviously. And yeah, here there is quite a lot of picturesque stuff. We didn't see a PDA map yet, and I don't know whether Giants has time to bring us a blog article about Hutan Pantai. If not, then we have to, let's say, wait until the big storm of YouTube videos begins, and I think that will be probably in about 1 week. So if if it's the same like in the games before, FS19, FS22 and the DLCs, then Friday would be the day, Friday the 8th, where the big storm of YouTubes and Twitch streamers are starting and everybody completely freaks out. So it's not such a long time until then. Okay, and yeah, I say this when it is like it was because I don't know yet about an official embargo date. It's called like that. Then when the embargo ends, the storm of videos begins. Yeah, and it's not yet officially confirmed for us. But I have seen one gold partner making a video about showing the collector's edition. He had it in his hands. And therefore I think the gold partners, they already have the game, maybe. And maybe they are already recording the videos. And I will get it when the big storm begins. And then I have to install it very quickly and make my own videos. Okay, so let's go on. Here we have Eddie Edwards. And he is a very, very important person for the game. And I haven't known about him until this article. And he is in an interview about the ground deformation. So let's have a look at the interview and the article here. Preview and engine interview, ground deformation. And I will only read the top part to you because further down it is so technical that even I only understand, let's say, maybe half of it. And I don't want to bother you with such technical stuff, but if you are nerdy and technical interested, then I would recommend to read this blog article down to the end, because it's really, really interesting. And what I really like about this blog article, it is not this try to make something funny with jokes and so, because somehow I appreciate that they try to make their blog articles funny and full of jokes, but it's not the type of jokes that I understand. So that I understand with my funny receptor. I always sit there and say, hey, what do they want to tell us? And so it's not my kind of humor. And this is without any jokes. This is just pure information. And I love it. And it's so full of information. It has more information, this article, than all the other blog articles combined. So I really recommend this. Okay, I read you the top part and down there you can go on. It's not a secret anymore that the ground in Farming Simulator 25 will deform. But you want some details, don't you? Well, go and get some. Alongside new screenshots visualizing how the ground will deform, senior software engineer Eddie Edwards from Giant Software will go further into detail on how it actually works. Thank you, dear Eddie Edwards. The name is so cool somehow. Eddie, tell us about you and your position first. What's your role? I'm one of the senior engine programmers for Farming Simulator. I've been at Giants since the early days of FS13. I created the original PlayStation 3 port, and I have been responsible for other ports to the Giants of the Giants engine to PS4, PS5, Switch, and iOS. I'm very much the PlayStation guy at the company, but I also work on cross-platform engine technology, such as density maps, rendering, shader compiler, some physics, audio, etc. There's not much in the Giants engine that I haven't worked on to some extent over the last 12 years. And in particular, of course, I created the new technologies that bring us ground deformation for FS25. The improved density map system, the new terrain geometry system, and the terrain virtual texturing system. And if you don't understand the last sentence, yes, me too. I understand maybe what they mean about this, but not the details. And yeah, at this point, I want to point out what that means, what this guy is doing. Maybe, I imagine you are maybe a player and don't have a computer background. And then you just think, oh yes, just another programmer. But this is not the case. And therefore, I want to tell you from the perspective as a programmer what this guy is doing. Because I myself, I'm a programmer since 40 years. So when I was very young, I just became 20 years old, I started programming computers. The computers grew up together with me, so to say. And yeah, but what this guy is doing, it is far above anything I could ever do. So even for a long-term programmer, this is the higher priesthood of programming, so to say, what he's doing. I think he will work at the Swiss office, because there they work on the engine, as far as I know. And yeah, and I'm very, very happy to learn that he is one of the senior engine programmers. Because in the last years I asked myself, who is there to work on the engine? I know Stefan Geiger. Stefan Geiger is one of the founders of Giants and he is a CTO. So he is a technical boss of Giants, of the whole Giants, and he is developing the engine. That is what I knew. And what I know is that they are searching for an engine programmer in Zurich already for years. Always when I have a look at their career page, they are searching for this senior engine programmer in C++ and so on and so forth. And it never changes. And I think they never got one. And yeah, then I felt somehow so sad for those engine programmers because they never got the guy that they are searching so hard for. And in the last weeks I asked myself, maybe Stefan Geiger is the only one who is working on this engine. Oh, this poor guy. And I really felt like, oh, this poor guy, what a lot of work, what a lot of responsibility, all on himself. But no, it's not like that. There is at least one more senior engine programmer. And I think when there are senior engine programmer, then there might be even junior engine programmers. So Stefan Geiger is not alone, and those two are probably not alone. But I guess it's still a small team that are working on the engine, and I think that is very, very good. Because if you have a very huge team that is programming a certain thing, then it goes very, very slowly. And it's a lot of problems. Maybe not everybody is in my opinion, or is the same opinion than me, but that is my experience. The programming speed and quality increases, and it depends on what you do. And so maybe to a team like 6 or 10 or so, and then it's better and you can work faster. But when you have 100 programmers working on one topic, nothing works anymore. That is my experience, and I guess the experience of a lot of other programmers also. Because then you spend so much time in discussing and sitting in meetings and writing documentation and all this stuff that has nothing to do with the programming itself. And therefore, I would never recommend to work in a really big development team. It's different than they do the engine, and in Erlangen they work on the gameplay. So that can add up without any problems, because they are not working on the same thing. They are working both on the same game, but it has different cores. And yeah, and I'm really happy to learn that there is this Eddie Edwards, and he is not only working on this ground deformation, but he is there to work on the engine. And I guess it looks like they are not only the two of them. Maybe sooner or later I will learn how many programmers are there in Zurich. I would really love to know it. I would go there and say, I adore your work. Maybe they wouldn't like it if I'm too much fangirling. Old woman coming to the programmer's office and say, "Oh, you are so great." They say, "Oh, is she stupid?" Yeah, but I can really appreciate what they are doing. Okay, so now let's go on with the ground deformation. Firmness and viscosity, how the ground deforms. And don't worry about the images, we will see them in a bigger format a little bit later. Depending on the ground type, the deformation and compression of the soil is dependent on multiple factors. Take a look. Which factors define how the ground deforms? Eddie. A number of factors affect this. Firstly, every ground type has a different level of firmness and viscosity. Tarmac cannot be deformed at all, for instance, while mud can be deformed a lot due to different firmness. And driving on snow instantly crushes it, while driving on mud causes it to compress over a longer time due to different viscosity. Also, if the ground is wet, this affects the deformation as well. Isn't it awesome? So informative. I love it. Which vehicle you are driving also affects the deformation. The weight of the tractor and the width of its tires both affect the reaction of the terrain. And a slower moving vehicle will sink faster than a fast moving vehicle. How does ground deformation affect gameplay? What will players feel? For the first time, FS25 gives a real physical response from the terrain. You will feel the tractor bumping over the ground, and you will see it creating ruts and tracks. And if you go back and drive over those ruts and tracks, you will feel the effect from them as well. It is also harder to steer if you have dug into the ground, just as it is in real life. Driving in rain will be more difficult than driving when it's sunny. Your tire configuration now has a greater effect too, and you may need to consider which tires are best to use for different seasons and different types of field work. The fun of plowing. Plowing on another level. While the deformation on the soil is individual to the machines, their weight and other conditions, one field activity in particular will probably feel a whole lot different in Farming Simulator 25. what kinds of machines or equipment will showcase ground deformation best. Plowing is a new experience now. The plow creates real physical furrows, which cannot only be seen more clearly on screen, but also affects the tractor when driving over them. Also, machines with caterpillar tracks come into their own now, as they can handle uneven ground so well. Here we can see it, and we will see even bigger images. And now here comes the part where it gets really technical. And if you are interested in this, I would really recommend you to read this, because it's great, it's fantastic. I only understand half of it, at most. And yeah, if you are not so interested, I think you got the most important information about this already. And now we have a look at the images. Here we see the plowing. And yeah, maybe if you played the farming simulator already for quite a while, let's say at least since FS17, 19, then 22, and now 25, then you might think, oh, when FS22 came up, they said, oh, plowing is a whole new experience. It looks so much better due to this parallax occlusion mapping. That was new in FS22. And that was a new way to make the visual even more impressive. And before FS22, Farming Simulator used traditional texture types to show a structure to something, like the plow structure or the ground structure, or if you have brick walls and such, they used a traditional way to do it. It's called normal maps. And with FS22 they added an additional way with height maps, and it was calculated different in the engine, and so the structure of things became visual much stronger than before. And that was an important improvement for FS22, this parallax occlusion mapping. And it was advertised all over the place before the release, and I, as a modder, had to work a lot with this for the buildings, that the wood structure looked more like wood and the brick more like bricks, and so forth. But that was only visual. It looked very good, but yeah, if you drove over the plow, you didn't feel the difference. Only a little bit. So maybe you remember from FS22, when you drive on the field, it feels a little bit wobbly. But now this is a completely different thing, what we get here in FS25. On the images, I would say, yeah, looks good. Does it look much more intense than in FS22, where they already showed us a lot of plowing images to show, oh wow, we improved so much? On this image, it doesn't look so much different to me. But then, here we get this wireframe look. And usually you don't see it. In the game you don't see it like that. But this is somehow how the so-called meshes are done. They have this wireframe, and in between the wires it is filled up with the textures. So not exactly, but it's enough to know it like that. And I make it a little bit bigger, and then you can see it. And here you can see this, the object itself, here the object ground, and there the object from the plow and the dirt and so. But here it is about the object of the ground. It is deformed, and that is a deep difference to that what we had in FS22. And even if it looks not so much difference on first look, but it is a completely different principle from the ground up. And therefore, it can feel totally different if you drive on this. So if you drive across those ridges, then it will feel like wobbly, wobbly, wobble, wobble. And if you drive along those ridges, it will feel different. And that is a main difference. And what I already heard from people who were able to play it, the gold partners and such, who were invited to play it in advance, they said, oh, it feels very much different to before. And yeah, it was even a little bit too wobbly on the roads, but I think that is something that will be fixed, hopefully to release, or sometimes it will be fixed and then you can drive smoothly on the road, but not so smooth on the plowed field. So here we see more plowing images with a nice big tractor. And here we see how the oxbow makes deforms the ground while driving on the dirt road. And so in the dirt road you see some deformation, and on concrete you don't see deformation, and on a plowed field you see a lot of deformation. And somehow the tires, not the tires itself, but the tires that the oxbow makes on the ground, they look somehow a little bit, something is not right with the shadows. Or maybe I have some problems with my eyes. How does it look to you? Does it look like it belongs like that? Or is it a little bit strange? But yeah, usually it's my eyes. And here we see that a tractor with double tires and wide tires doesn't make such a deep impression like a tractor with a normal tire. And this, I think this is really good, because we start getting into the topic of ground density. And this is a really big problem all over the world, that we humans compress the ground so much with our machines, and that helps to that floods can happen when it's raining, because the water can't go so easily into the ground. It prevents plants from growing because the fertility goes down. And so it's a really big topic in agriculture, the topic of ground compression. And so far we didn't had it in Farming Simulator at all. And now this is the beginning of the idea, okay, when we drive on the ground, we make an impression to the ground. And therefore I think this is quite important for the understanding of what is happening with our farming in the world and the nature and so on and so forth. And it will probably will be a topic in the upcoming farming simulators, I guess, because then you can do a lot more with it. So if you use tires that are good against too much ground compression, then your yield goes up maybe, or something like that. We will see. And here we see the mud on the tires, and even more, and dry mud on the tires. Is it called tires if you have such a track, or is it just the track? Tell me. And yeah, if we are driving on a bridge, there is no ground deformation. And here we can not only see the dirt on the tires, but we can also see how this, it's not a cultivator, but something rather similar, maybe a power harrow also. And first we have the plowed field, and behind this, all those ridges from the plow, it's evened out by this maybe power harrow. And it even goes against so if you drive across, then the ridges disappear. And here we can see the rice planter in the wet rice field, and we have some nice impressions, even if it's a very light white machine, but the ground is wet and muddy and therefore the impression is stronger. And what we can also see is something that they don't even speak about in this article, is this field is not completely dry and it's not completely filled. And it answers the question, what happens if you, for example, start filling up your rice field? Will it be there instantly, all the water full, or what happens? And here you can see it is really natural. It looks so natural with all those little hills and the water all around, everything full of puddles. And then I think I don't know whether this is a field that is drying or that is just filled up. We can't see it, but we can see it's in between dry and wet. And so it really looks nice and natural when it's in this in-between stage. And now we have images of snow and how the ground deformation works on snow. Here, very, very strong, which is natural. And then there is this image and another one, and it looks more like ice than like snow. It's too glossy. And quite a lot of people already complained about it. And I could imagine that they are able to remove this glossiness until the release. And maybe if not to the release, we will get quite a lot of updates in the first time usually. And I think this is not such a big deal to remove the glossiness from the snow. Here also very, very glossy, more like ice than like snow. But yeah, I wouldn't consider it a problem. More like it has been said already, and I hope they work on it as soon as possible. And here we have the fact sheets. Yeah, I think maybe the penultimate fact sheets. I guess next Friday we will have the last fact sheets. And I guess, but it's only a guess because we don't know yet the embargo for all the YouTubers and streamers. But I guess from when I remember how it was for FS19, FS22 and all the DLCs, usually the embargo fell on the Friday before the release. And the Friday, the 8th of November, is the Friday before the release, and therefore I expect that this embargo will fall, and then everything will explode with videos. And yeah, I think you can watch videos and streams 24/7 on this, not the next weekend, but the weekend before the release. And then when the release is on the 12th, there will be still a lot of videos. And I guess I will get the game only when the embargo is already about to fall. But the gold partners, I guess they already have the game, because one of the German gold partners made a short video where he has the collector's edition in his hands. And therefore I think, but I don't know, that they already have it, and maybe they are already preparing their first videos. So maybe you could take some free days to watch videos and play the game yourself from Tuesday the 12th. Okay, so now back to the fact sheets. The International Trendstar 2 Eagle. It's a truck, obviously. It has 400 horsepower and it costs 45,000 bucks, which is a bargain. And it's really fast. No, it's not so fast. It's normal. It's 49 miles per hour. And it has a low loader attached from Brand H 550 beaver tail. And this is more expensive than the truck. It costs 106,000 bucks. And here we have a nice John Deere combine harvester. It's a bigger, medium-sized combine, I would say, from the S7 series. The power is 547 up to 625 horsepower, and it costs 381,000 bucks. And important is also the bunker, and it's 14,100 liters to transport the grain that you harvested. And then we have a header. This is 10.7 meters wide, so rather big but not too big, and it costs 105,000 bucks. And here we have this very fancy telehandler from Sennebogen 340G. And yeah, the interesting thing with this is you can lift up the cabin. And then if you are throwing something in a trailer, like it happens here, you can lift up the cabin and have a look, is everything okay? And it costs 145,000 bucks. And here we have sugar beet harvester from Holma, the Terra DOS 540. And it has 652 horsepower. The bunker is 45 cubic meters, which is quite nice. The working speed 10 kilometers per hour. It costs 685,000 bucks, and the speed on the road is 40 kilometers. So it's not a cheap machine. And it has a header that you need for it. The working width is 2.7 meters, and this price is 53,500 bucks. And yeah, I find it very good and interesting that we got Holma in the game. Maybe we got it back, but we hadn't had any Holma harvesters in FS19 and FS22. but maybe before, but I don't know about it. I played FS17, but I never played sugar beet harvesting, and therefore I don't know. And the others before, I didn't really play. I only made this vintage tour now, but I didn't play them when they were the up-to-date game. And therefore, I'm not really sure, but I heard a lot of players talk about Holmer harvesters, ever so often. And therefore, maybe they came back. Maybe you know it, whether they came back or whether they are completely new to the game. Okay, that's about it for this week. And we have a very exciting week ahead of us, I would say, and then an even more exciting week after this. And me, I'm really, really excited already. Tell me, how do you feel about the upcoming release of Farming Simulator 25? Are you also very excited, or is it only little bit like, oh yes, I can stay with FS22. There are quite a lot of people who think like that. And I think everything in between also. I, for myself, I'm very excited because Farming Simulator is a big part of my life, and this new version is a big challenge for me to make a lot of tutorials and mods. And I will make a video about my plans for FS25 in the next days, and then you can see what I'm planning for my channel and my mods and so for FS25. Okay, so I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you for watching and all the best. Till next time. Tschüss.